Hey everybody, it's Mike, Monkey Fab. Welcome back. New and exciting episode coming up. We're probably a couple series because I don't know if I'll get it all done in one day. Who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll get it. I want to get it all done this weekend. That's my goal. Because I know the guy that owns this he wants to go racing. He said he watched Texas 2K and got all hyped and wants to go racing, which is understandable. If I had this car, I would want to go racing too. This is, I don't know, it's a Mustang. It's a notchback. What year it is, I have no idea. Somebody will know. Somebody will be like, bro, that's a 1987 Mustang fast notchback dog. But this is my buddy. I remember I made this guy for him and did a little video on this guy, and we called him Viper Pete. But Pete's a cool guy. He's an engineer, and it kind of shows. I'll say kind of. I have to use that caveat because I'm amazed. I mean, like, I love this, the way this is all laid out. It is so well thought out. Like it has a. I'm not supposed to tell you guys what it weighs, but I can tell you it's under 4,000. It's got a front clip that's made out of something that just basically snaps on. There's some couple of these quarter turn doze fasteners, I think they're called, something like that. Easy fasteners, doze fasteners, something. And the whole clip pops off. Then it's just simple log manifolds with V-bands on them on either side. He is my Monkey Fab. He did all this himself, or his friend did it. I'm not sure which, but he used my Monkey Fab collector. This is just the 2.5 slip fit collector, and he got the wastegate provisions, and they literally just shoved the wastegate provisions into there, and then ran a pipe on either side. So everything here is just real simple to get to. The turbo literally just bolts onto here, and he can just unbolt it, lift it off. Again, truck manifolds, V-bands on them. He did say he had these fire core wires custom made. I don't know why. It looks just like regular truck coils. I'm not sure why it is that what am I thinking? Speak, Mike. The regular AC Delcos wouldn't work, but whatever. It's got some power posts coming on into the front, a breather. Simple. Probably could use a little bit more capacity, if you ask my opinion. The turbo is just literally right in, which is kind of cool. Some badass made these parts. It looks like one of those eBay war throttle bodies with probably a LS1 intake, and he's running alcohol, so there's no need for an intercooler, and the pump itself just goes right here into here and goes whoop to the fuel rails. So and then he's got the O2 sensor on the up pipe. So, and it's cool 4-link. I'll show you the underneath, but he's got the wing on it, and all this stuff is all pretty lightweight stuff. It's got a nice cage, I think a 25, some sort of 25 series cert cage inside it, and yeah, it should be a good race car for him. So why I prefaced that it was sort of well laid out was that Pete got a hold of me and he said, yo dog, I need you to put a radiator in the back of my Mustang. And I said, Pete, you're an engineer and you're asking me to put a radiator in the back of your Mustang? Because I thought with all that fancy degree and stuff, you'd realize that the best place for a radiator is meow. So think about this. If you're building a car and it's going to be a street car, meaning you're going to drive around, you need to primero, the biggest, baddest radiator you can get. Do that first and then build everything around it. is what I would say. But this is not a street car, because Pete does have sense, even though I question his engineering capability with the radiator in the back. But all he really needs to do is knock the heat off of the engine, because this is just a race car, and he realizes that and knows that, and he's not going to be trying to drive it on the streets here in Houston or in Mexico or anything like that. It's just going to go out and dig race, I imagine, because it's got these massive, I think they're 29, 10.5, 15s on the back, and boy, they look beefy compared to my little 245, 45, 17s in the back of mine. But I digress. So what we got to do is we need to put a radiator. He brought me a radiator in the back of this thing somehow, which I've kind of kicked around some ideas. And the idea here is to use the keep it simple, stupid theory of engineering this, because it's really easy when you dig into projects just to go deep and spend a lot of time on it, which is fun for me, but probably not fun for the guy that's waiting for his car. So we're going to just kind of keep it simple, stupid, and if he has an issue with it, or it's not doing what it's supposed to do, then we can troubleshoot that issue and work it back through. I don't care. I like Pete. He's a good guy, and happy to work on his car for him. So, so the back, well, I'll show you what we're doing here on the top side. Let me put you down. Put you down. I'm gonna get this trunk lid off. Okay, so we got a little room in the trunk here, and what I planned on doing is he's got a little wall right here. He's got some kind of reservoir, so I'm just gonna move the reservoir to here, pop a hole in the bottom of this tray, and run basically a line to a pump. He's got one of these cool little Craig Davis pumps, and I want to say it was close to 140 gallons per minute, which is amazing. If you think about that, that's, I don't know what the weight of water is, but I think it's like, I want to say like it's 2 pounds a gallon. So that'd be like almost, what, like over 300 pounds of water a minute. That's amazing. But yeah, it's got dash 16 fittings in and out. It looks like this one right now on the picture. And yeah, so I think it's just ORB dash 16s, and we'll just stick that in there. He's got the front, he said it's dash 10, but it's just ORB. What I'm hoping is that I have a ORB fitting that is like whatever this is to dash 12, and then I'll just run, because the fittings on the radiator dash 12 is what I'm getting at. So if I could just go from the reservoir dash 16 to the pump dash 16 out, and then knock it down to 12 the rest of the way, bring it up here, wire it, go to the block. I can't remember. I think he said the bottom is in and the top is out. I don't know. And then back. We'll just take and run it back along inside this frame rail to the radiator, or not to the radio, go back into the reservoir, which is this little Moroso guy right here. So I have to get this off and take a look at it and see what we're working with. But it should be pretty simple. I think that my thoughts are, my theory is that if we can keep the water above the pump and it's being pushed, pumps like to push. They're really efficient at pushing. They're not so good at pulling. So if we can keep the water loaded on top of that and keep it primed and full, then it should push the water up. I'm going to start in the bottom of the radiator, go up through the radiator, forward to the engine, out the engine, back to the reservoir where it will drain back down into the pump, is kind of my theory or plan. So hopefully that works out. And yeah, I'll get up in the air and I'll show you what we're working with underneath it. Yeah, it's just got like, I think this is like a bolt-on cross member, is it? I don't know. I can't tell. Maybe it's been welded in. I can't tell. Maybe the cross member is part of the chassis. It looks that way, but then it has some parts where it hits the mount point. So I don't know. Anyway, nice. I mean, it's all tubed out. And again, it's on engine plates, front and back, and everything's really accessible. So you can just see how like everything is just really easy to get to. It's really nice. I mean, so the cool thing is like I should have him tell a story. I should like bring him in and make him. So if you want to, Pete, let me know. Let me know, Pete, if you want to come in and tell your story, because I'm going to butcher it. I'm going to do like the Reader's Digest version of it. And I forgot all the important parts, but I thought it was interesting, is because me and Matt Happel chatted back and forth, and he's currently doing a project about this right now with his 8s for 8s, and was always, you know, and I think most people realize, like, man, people always take their project to like the 90th percent of done, and then they just like, I don't know, they get performance anxiety or something, and they just fucking give up, and it's like, and they'll have tons of money in it, like this car here. I mean, this is full cage. I mean, that's not cheap, and it looks nice. I mean, it's not like shit welds. Somebody knew what they were doing when they built this car. I couldn't do this, but they get it almost done, and then they're out like, hey, fuck it, I don't know, whatever. But anyway, the story goes, and this is probably I don't know honestly. But let's say a 10-year span, because Pete, I think he's like 30. And he said he started doing this when he was in college. But basically, somehow he got turned on to like an old race car. It was like an old Mustang race car that I guess was part of some dude's business. And they sold the business. The car sat at the place, and they were going to crush it. so he literally got it for like, I want to say like $500 or something like that, but there was like no engine or something like that. So he took that, and basically but it was like, you know, a cage and all the stuff he needed, and he traded that for like an actual street, like hot rod Ford engine back in the day. And I think they turbocharged that, and it was, you know, doing whatever kids do with fun turbocharged. It was like the blue car, like that marine blue. It was a really nice car. I've seen pictures of it. And then I guess he found this guy somewhere with like a big block, you know, and all this fancy shit on it. And he basically traded that car that he traded for, that he got for the $500 he traded for the other car, for this one. And then he sold the big block, you know, or parted it out, or whatever pieces he wanted to part out of it. So at the end of the day, I mean, almost free, you know, which is like, you know, so he got that almost free, which is just amazing if you think about that. And it happens, and it's just that, you know, how much hustle are you willing to do? How much are you willing to chase it? I see people doing it. I know people who are out there just flipping race cars. I'm not going to name names, but I see them. I see you. I know what you're doing. And and they're out there to do, if you're the person that wants to, you know, no one's going to throw that. And I'm sure this wasn't thrown into Pete's lap, but it's an amazing find. It's a wonderful story. Pete, if you're watching this and you want to come on and save yourself from my horribly told version of your life story, then let me know, and I'll be happy to videotape it. Under this car, it is, so we got the full kind of cage thing going on, and we got a 4-link suspension, some kind of, you know, fabbed 9-inch rear end with supports. It's got the drag racing brakes, wishbone for centering the 4-link, and yeah, like a power glide trans loop. And see, it's got like little cotter pins to pull out the loop for the trans, which is kind of neat. It's just really well put together, well thought out car. So anyway, what we're gonna do is hang a radiator up in here is where he wants it. So we got to figure out how to bracket that, how to run our pipes to our pump, where we're gonna keep our pump at, how we're gonna hang the radiator, and then how we're gonna run our lines. I think our lines are just gonna go up over all this mess through this center tunnel, because he's got this all paneled out, and it's just gonna kick out and come up to the front and Y out to the tubes, and then go back the same, up and over, and or maybe we'll just go up into, probably go up into the trunk wherever the access is, and over to the reservoir. Yep. And we'll make a little surge tank for the reservoir just in case the things. But basically, the whole thought of the system is, if he's sitting, he had to drive up to the pits and had to run it a little longer than whatever he anticipated, he can just flip a switch and pump that on, turn on the fan, because this guy's got a fan on the back of it, and just let it kind of knock the stank off of it, is the idea. So this isn't going to be anything to do with driving around on the streets, because if you were to do that, then you would want to put the radiator in the front of the car, because that's where you put, even rear engine cars put radiators in the front. It's the thing to do. Thanks, Grant. Also, give a shout out to my buddy Grant Tomei. I hope I pronounced that right, Grant. He has a YouTube channel. It is straight six fan, and he is into offbeat hot rodding and other cool things. And I think he is a college sport fan. I think he is like a Jayhawk. I hope I messed that up just to piss you off, but I think it's a Kansas. Who's the Kansas guys? The Jayhawks, right? I don't watch any sports except fighting. So let's get to working on this thing.